I'm right outside of Raleigh. I've been in Rodan and Fields I realized yesterday was my 5-year anniversary, which is pretty cool. My background, though, is I was a math major and was a software quality architect for 20 plus years before RNF. So I am a tech geek, numbers wired person, very type A. Things are black and white, which is why I'm obsessed with all of Jenny's graphics, because my brain doesn't work the way hers does. So I stalk her all the time. And it's funny, one of the things Jim mentioned, and I heard you guys talking about it, that I have a whole separate business of teaching time management skills for working moms. And I would say two of the best things that can help you, which is what he touched on, is that whole turning off notifications on your phone. I'm the same way. The only thing my phone makes noise on is if it's ringing because someone's calling. And then another way of thinking about when he talked about setting your working hours, for some people that's really hard, particularly as moms, because usually our schedules are so different from day to day. Like establishing core working hours that you can repeat is really hard. But what you can do, an easier place sometimes to start, is to block off your non-working hours. Pick a window of time every day that should be at least 2 hours where you are committed to not looking at your phone or your computer or anything. And so for some people, that can just be an easier place to start on committing to, like for me, it's the 2 hours after I pick up my daughter from school. That's it. I'm not working. So if trying to set office hours seems really crazy, try setting non-working hours. And that might be an easier place to start, and then you can work your way into there. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to share with you guys some information about the numbers to be tracking in your business. And I did a talk on this on the Daily Experience. I don't know if any of you guys caught that recently. But I'm going to kind of talk through the 5 core numbers that I think everyone should track in their business, regardless of if you have been, if you're a consultant for a month or if you've been in for 5 years. And then at the end, I'm going to kind of share why I think these numbers are so important and how they help you with setting, goals and milestones for yourself in your business. And some of these should be pretty obvious, but sometimes how you can leverage them is what makes them so powerful. So the first one is really understanding what if you're brand new, it's going to be more what your personal sales volume is. So that PSQV month over month. Whereas if you've got a team now, and I kind of, level 2-ish or above, you've got a growing organization, really starting to track what your team org volume is every single month. And if you're not a tech person, Excel spreadsheets are not your thing, you don't have to do that. You can just have a notebook that you have the year laid out. I've actually got a little PDF tracker I can share with Jenny that she can give to you guys as well. So you can just print it out if you like paper and track it there. So first one again is at the end of every month, having somewhere where you're writing down what your org volume is at the end of the month. And there's a couple reasons why this is really important for you to understand. First is it starts to show you trends in your business of what your percentage growth is month over month. And for folks that have been in business for a while, a lot of people have that first milestone of they want to get volume for level 5 circle. Or I see all the time everybody who's out running for a Mercedes and they're fixated on this volume number to get in a car. And I see a lot of flyers floating around RNF teams of the, how to get your Mercedes in 6 months. And it gives you these number targets. I don't know if you guys have seen those printouts or not. And people will print them out and put them up on their vision board. And I think it's the worst possible thing you can do for yourself, unless you understand where your business is today. If you look at those goal things to get you in your car in 6 months, most of them have a growth rate of 20 to 25% increase month over month. That's great. If you currently are growing somewhere at, 17 to 22% month over month, That looks like a sustainable goal. Most people aren't tracking that. So what they don't realize when I get in and look at their numbers with them is I'm like, you realize you've been growing 2% month over month, and now you've got a goal up here that's going to require you to grow 25% month over month. What are you drastically changing in how you're operating your business to make that big of a leap? Now, I'm all about big, scary goals, and I don't ever want to tell someone don't go for it, because maybe you're all in and you've got great plans. But if you can't commit to doing anything different than you're doing today, then don't put a goal up there that doesn't have a tangible action plan that's going to show you how to make those changes. So I think in understanding what your current percent change is month over month can really help you put a good structure in place if you have a volume goal that you're working towards. Also, once you've done this for a year or more in business, you start to see what the patterns are in your business around seasonality. So for instance, I've been tracking this for 5 years. I know that absolutely nothing is going to happen in July and August for my entire team, like nothing. So if I've got some goal that I need to hit and August is my final qualifying month, well, I better front load because I know nothing good is going to happen for those last 2 months of summer within my organization. But because I know that, when I'm setting out goals for my next year, I can plan accordingly. So, if you're working to hit month 3 and 4 of a qualifying month, if you know historically that that's not a great time for you or your team, you can kind of, plan for that and figure out what you're going to do to adjust that. So that's why I really think that, that number one number of tracking and seeing historically what your org volume is at the end of every single month, the longer you do that, the more information you have to just make better business planning decisions. And the good news is, if you haven't ever looked at that to date, in Pulse, you can go back into the performance tab under that vital signs, and you can run the last 12 months worth of that report. So today you could actually go in and pull out what your org volume is for the last year and go ahead and lay that out. So that way, you can start going in and tracking that information and understanding the trends in your business a little bit. Another thing when I'm tracking that I always like to make a note of on any given month is if there was a new product launch or something massive. So that way, if I look back and go, wow, last March, what happened? My team blew up. And then I can say, oh yeah, that's because we launched, whatever product. Like I know what Munch Lash Boost launched, volume went through the roof back then. So at least you can kind of understand where there was some weird behaviors. Okay, so the second number I want to talk about is the actually tracking the number of new people that you talk to about your opportunity every month. And I truly mean that you've actually had a conversation about it. So adding a new Facebook friend does not count. Or, following 10 new people on Instagram does not count, or just starting to build a relationship with someone does not count. Actually, physically sharing the business or products with somebody is what would count as talking to somebody for the first time about the business or products. And the reason why this number, if you have to pick one number to track, this is the one I would track if you are actively looking to grow your business, because this number is what you can use to start understanding what I call your personal conversion rate. And what I mean by that is understanding, on average, how many people do you need to talk to consistently month over month to enroll a new business partner. So if you are consistently talking to maybe 50 new people every single month, and you are consistently bringing on one new business partner every single month, then you can start to realize, okay, for every, it takes me about 50 new connections, 50 new reach outs for me to enroll a new business partner. So if you suddenly now have a goal where you're wanting to bring on 2 new business partners a month, Well, then now you know that you're going to need to start talking to 100 new people every single month. And these are big numbers, but these are kind of real numbers. What's been interesting for me to track with my business over time is when I first started, because I was working with a warm market, it was all the people that I already knew and hopefully they trusted me, my conversion rate was a lot lower. I didn't have to talk to that many people to bring on a new business partner. But now here I am 5 years later, and my conversion rate, I'm working solely in a cold market now. I do all of my networking pretty much through LinkedIn, and it's all cold networking. And I know that I need to talk to about 85 to 90 new people every single month through LinkedIn on my cold network to enroll a new business partner. So I reach for trying to do double that every single month. But because I know that, on months where I don't do it and I don't bring on business partners, I'm not beating myself up. I didn't do the work. I know what the work is, and I made a conscious decision not to do that. The other reason why I feel that tracking this number is so important is when I finally started doing it, it was a big wake-up call for me to realize I wasn't talking to nearly half the number of people in my head I thought I did. When you take the time to truly count how many new people did you share this opportunity with, the first time people do that, they usually call me back and they're like, oh my God, I could have sworn I was talking to like 60 new people a month and I talked to 4. Like I really only talked to 4. So this will be a big eye opener for you on really recognizing for yourself, are you bringing new people into your funnel, or are you just churning on the same 200 names month over month over month? Been there, done that. So that's the next one, is your follow-ups. You do want to make sure that you're tracking how many follow-ups you're having every single month as well. Because if you're talking to new people, but you're never following back up with them, well, we all know, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but everyone I share the opportunity with just says yes the very first time I have a conversation with them. So making sure that you're tracking your follow-ups, for me, it's a really nice reassurance. I had a great example the other day. Finally enrolled somebody on the products, and I use my Beehive. Full disclosure, I'm one of the co-founders of my Beehive, which is a list management tool for network marketers. And when I went in there to fill out, that they enrolled as a customer and all of that, I was able to see I had 21 follow-ups because it tracks every follow-up I log. So it's been 21 touch points over 2 years with this person. They never said no, so I just kept sharing information. And so to see that kind of sometimes re-inspires me to keep going and to not get so frustrated with the no's. Okay, so we've mentioned your org volume, your new reach outs, your number of follow-ups. The next one, which is the one we all get excited about, which is the number of new team members that you bring on in a given month. So how many consultants are joining you in business? And again, when you have that number, and then you have your number of actual income producing activity, the new reach outs, the follow-ups, after about 4-ish to 5 months of tracking that, that's when you should start to see some patterns emerging, assuming that your numbers are somewhat consistent. If you're doing 10 reach outs one month, but 80 the next, and then 5 the next, it's going to be hard to kind of get a real handle on what the exact amount of activity you need to do to hit your goals. But if you're fairly consistent with it, after 4 to 5 months, you should start to see some patterns coming out that then are going to allow you to say, hey, I really want to set a goal for myself of bringing on 2 new business partners. Well, now I'm starting to see that's going to mean that I need to do this many new reach outs and this many follow-ups. So you can start to plan for that to map out your goals to get yourself there. And then the last one is the number of new customers that you bring on every month as well. There was we had a training on the Lead the Way trip the other month, and I loved this, and I don't know why I'd never thought about it before, but they just said, instead of preferred customer, PC should stand for potential consultant. I was like, that's brilliant. And so I always like to track for my business partners, how many of them started as customers that then got converted into consultants. Because as we know, a happy customer is always your best spot to go. So I know for myself, 80% of my directs in business all started as customers before joining me in business. So I will happily, I know there are people out there like, I don't want any customers, I just want business partners. I'll take a customer all day long because I know I've got now an 80% shot of getting them, potentially enrolling and joining me in business because I've had a good traction with that. Okay, so those really, for anybody in business, no matter where you are level-wise, those again are I think 5 critical numbers to be tracking. So again, your org volume, number of new reach outs, number of follow-ups, number of new consultants every month, and new PCs that you're bringing on every month. And again, I can share just that you can print it out if you're a paper person. Otherwise, you can go just create a quick Excel sheet for those 5 things in there as well. And if you take the time, because it takes you all of about 2 seconds to do that at the end of the month, to fill that in consistently, it will allow you to really set a lot more meaningful action plans around the goals that you have. I'd love to be in a car. I've wanted to be in a car for a very long time. My org volume has been flat, which from what I understand is pretty common these days. But what's great is because I know kind of at the rate at which my team is growing right now, yes, I've got the Mercedes on my vision board, but I have it mapped out in a way that's a stretch, but not something that I can't look at every day and go, I can do something more to get myself there. But it's not I'm going to grow at 25% month over month and be in a car in 4 months either, because that's not the reality of what I'm seeing in my business and the amount of time that I commit to working my business every day as well. And so because of that, I'm not beating myself up, but I'm still stretching myself pretty hard to try and, break through those goals as well. Okay, so that's a lot of geeky numbers thrown out at you guys. I personally, my number tracker has like 23 data points that I track because I actually track a lot of information about my team, because I always want to be able to know, is there a certain leg that's starting to take off? Is there a leg that was taking off that's now not? And so that I can kind of easily see at the end of every month where I might want to reach down and do some coaching, in my Gen 2 or 3, things like that. So if any of you are interested in like full-on geek out number tracking, let me know, because I'd be happy to share the huge thing with all the data points that I track as well. But I think for most people, it makes their eyes roll in the back of their head a little bit. But what questions can I answer for you guys?
Do any of you guys track this stuff now? I try and track daily, and I use Google Sheets on my phone.
Perfect.
And it's interesting to see month over month, and sometimes I'm obviously seeing every other month trend line more than every month because of their But it is interesting to see like where the jumps are or things.
If you want to see something grow, you have to track it. I mean, just like you can't go think you're going to increase your 40-yard dash speed or your, weight gain or loss or whatever it is. Like, what's the first thing your fitness trainer is going to tell you to do?
Measure.
Right? Measure your food, your measurements. Like, you want to see something grow, you have to track it. Even if you don't want to look at the numbers, there's been days where I'm like, not looking, but it's there.
Yeah. And, if you've got a big team tracking, I track my org volume every day. So it's the first thing I do in the morning, my morning routine, I get up and I add it in there. For some people that's overkill, but I would say from the 20th to the end of the month, definitely track that number, because you need to know what to expect from your team for month end. Because once I realized, 70% of my team pretty much does nothing to the last 3 days of the month because they like to just stress me out. At least I know when my numbers are lower leading up to that, I'm like, yeah, well, I know that, they'll usually bump up X% the last couple of days. And if you see that over time, you kind of know what to expect, which is good.
It's good.
Frustrating, but good.
The 20th, like what your auto ship is going to be, give or take. And then the last day or the next to last day to the last day. You know, when Kristen and I were running for Lex at the same time, my team, like, they go to bed about 10 p.m. on the last day of the month and they're out, they're gone. And Kristen's team like stays up till 1 in the morning. I was like, we both went to bed at 100 on April. And we're like, well, it's been a good run. And we both went to bed at 10. Oh, I thought we both went to bed. And then I wake up to a message of, are you mad at me? I was like, what happened? She's like, we kind of hit Lexus last night. What? We went to bed. They were at 100 at 10 p.m.
That's crazy.
I was like, where'd my team go? Sleeping, all of us. But like and her team does that. They do crazy things late. You know, my team doesn't do that, but they work pretty steadily from the 20. You know what I'm saying? So you just learn your teams just have different characteristics like that.
And teams do. They have a total vibe to them, and it's just it's a culture type thing. And it's also, I think, if you're bringing in a lot of types, you know, because we recruit what we are. You know, I was bringing in a lot of corporate types. They didn't like month end. They were like, this is stupid. Why aren't we building the whole month? So month end was like foreign, where
I'm a procrastinator.
her group was like loving it, and like moms,
Rule followers, they're like, we go to bed at 10. You're like, it's time for bed.
That's so me. I'm awful.
You might have a bunch of people on your team who are very title driven. Because I find there's times so I'm Central Time, but I've got people on the West Coast. So there's times that I'm up until 2 in the morning.
No.
Yeah.
If they're running, like if they're not running, and I know that they're not running, there's no way that I'm staying up that late. But there are times where I'm there. July will be one of them for sure.
Right. Yeah. There's plenty of those months. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
any questions you guys have?
I'm kind of a question. My name's Abby. I'm a numbers nerd as well. Yes. So I'm just kind of curious, like
number nerds, you
Yes.
guys. Oh, look at all the number nerds in here.
I get numbers and I'm like, oh yes. Like, and I always say because I feel like they are like tangible. Like you can't. No, you can't. You can't lie. I mean, my husband's
Numbers don't lie.
However, I feel like they are pretty tangible and concrete, which is what I like. So I'm curious, what are your favorite business numbers to share with people?
Oh, like for recruiting?
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
What
a
are
good
your
question.
top 3 tidbits or something that do you have a favorite numbers data to share?
Like $1 billion.
Yes.
So I'm not sure I'm following your question.
Right. Company as a whole, if you're talking to someone and they will say, well, tell me about the business and the structure of the business and, the growth of the business, what sort of numbers do you share?
Okay, I'm with you now. So to Jenny's point, Anya, we tend to attract people in business of who we're similar to. I tend to attract a lot of tech geek women as well. And they tend to go straight to, how do I make money? And tell me what that looks like. So I actually have a very detailed breakdown of the comp plan video that I did that shows exactly how you make money. And then I've also done a breakdown of here's exactly what it takes for you to make $7,000 your first 6 months in business.
The chart that went across.
Yes, I did that in January on layering the fast start, lead the way chart on. Yeah.
So good. And I'm a teacher, and I'm like, why did I never think about putting a piece of paper behind me? But, it was so smart and objective. It was so good. If you guys have not watched, I posted it on our team page, I remember. So smart and objective. Yes.
Yeah. And so the other numbers I share with people personally, because again, I attract a lot of full-time working women, because that was where I was when I started as well, is exactly how many hours in a day or week I work my business. And then what my growth rate was from a paycheck perspective, because that's what most of the people I talk to, they're like, yeah, I did my research. Now, if they haven't, I'm going to talk to them about the fact we're a $1 billion brand, what the growth is of Rodan and Fields. And as soon as I say #1 skincare brand in all of North America, they're like, okay, it's legit. Doctors are proactive. but they tend to be more interested in the what's in it for me and how do I get money in my pocket and how long is it going to take me to get it there. So those tend to be the numbers that the people I'm networking with want to understand quickly.
So Megan, do you share that compensation video with prospects so it goes into like really showing them how you make money, or how do you get across?
I prefer not to, unless if they are so in the weeds on that, I'll share it with them. Otherwise I tell them, I'll get you all that after we get you onboarded. But every now and then if they're like, I have to see it, then I share it with them.
So how do you get the compensation plan across to people that are prospects? Because I feel like that is a really difficult, it's a difficult.
So I pretty much teach them like in my nutshell version to try and get them to stop talking about it right away. But then sometimes I still want the video as I'm like, okay, there's 3 numbers you need to understand. I said, average 30%, it's more like 32 now, but you're going to make 30% commission on every product you sell to a customer, which is a great number right there. Then you're going to make 15% off of people who join you in business and what they purchase. So I'm very awesome. Like, so if you choose to join me in business, every time you buy products, I'm going to make 15%, being perfectly honest with that. And then as you start to build a team, all these people that you don't even know, you're going to be making 5% from them every single time they purchase products as well. So I just layer the 30, 15, 5.
Love that. That's simple and that's good, right?
I've
30,
never mentioned the
15,
15, but that makes total sense.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
30,
She's so happy.
15, 5.
Abby's so happy over there.
And you know what? I can, it's not compliant. I had it on YouTube, but I had to take it down because it's not compliant. But I had my comp plan video out there. So it's still there, but it's in a secret mode. So that way it can't be searched and found to keep it compliant. But Jenny, I can send you the link to that because I share it with teams all the time. If it's helpful for you, just, it can't be out publicly.
Yep, I have that actually. You shared that.
Do you? Okay.
Part of our onboarding.
And I always have a little whiteboard. So I've actually got the whiteboard out showing how the plan works.
Yeah, you share it in our group.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And the
Yeah,
daily
just
too.
hear what she said. Like, it's not something that can be circulated because of compliance. And the reason why is not because it's inaccurate, but because we have certain compliance, like the FTC is tracking certain things. So you've got to be super careful. So respect that it's Megan's face all over it. And if we blast that everywhere, then that becomes a problem. So just honor that, please. Coming from someone who's been in a video once or twice.
That's fine. So,
Yeah.
so like Sarah, can't say that.
Any other questions, you guys?
I do. Hi, I'm Shira. I don't know if you can see me. So my first question is, you're reaching out to your cold market. How do you get strangers on the phone? That seems like it would be really hard. And do you do a 3-way call right away, or do you do a one-on-one?
Yeah. So with the cold market, and so most of my cold market networking is all done through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is not social media. So it's a completely different beast when you're networking on LinkedIn than building relationships through Facebook and Instagram. And I took a lot of courses on LinkedIn to kind of hone in on a strategy and tried a lot of different things to kind of zero in on what has worked well for me. And so for me, I search and connect with people who have similar backgrounds as me. And I think that's problem number 1 is most of the LinkedIn coaching and training that you see out there, they're telling you like, go search for pharmaceutical reps, go search for this and go build connections. If you don't have a background in that, they're going to look at your profile and be like, this person's trying to sell me crap. So don't listen to what all the former male pharmaceutical network marketing people are telling you to do on LinkedIn, because it doesn't work unless you're a man who is in pharmaceutical sales. So I expand my network with other women who are in technology, math, software, aviation, and training, because that's where I lived for a very long time. So then once I've got the connection with them, I am very upfront with my first message that I reach out. I thank them for connecting. I let them know that I like to expand my network. And then I jump right into the fact I've got an amazing business opportunity that I'm looking to expand my business in whatever area they're in. So if they're in Florida, hey, I'm looking to expand my business in Florida. I'd love to share some information with you to see if you or somebody you know might be interested, period. And I'll plug through 8 or 9 of those a day. Then if they do respond back and, sometimes they say, what is it? I'm very honest. I'm not embarrassed about what I do. I'm not ashamed to say this is what I do. I've been very successful at it. So I will tell them exactly what it is. And then immediately try and get them on the phone. So I'm always trying to get them on the phone. If I get them on the phone, I keep the call to 10 minutes, period. Even if they want more information. At that point, if they want more information, then I move to scheduling a 3-way call. And I get, for me, usually I'll get 2 PCs a month out of it as well. And then if I am consistently doing 85-ish a month, over time, it'll average out to 1 new business partner for about 1 in every 85 to 90 cold reach outs on LinkedIn. But what I like about LinkedIn is it is so fast. It's not the 3-month building a relationship on Facebook. Like, just ain't nobody. I just don't have time for that. It's exhausting to me. And I'm an introvert, believe it or not. So that's really exhausting for me. So I like the LinkedIn approach because they move in and out of your funnel so fast. You're not married to the outcome. You don't know this person, and you're just there to share a really kick-ass business opportunity with them.
So are you tracking all those people that you reach out to 80 or 90 a month in some
Yep.
sheet, like as your reach outs? Oh, that's the year, whatever you're seeing. Be high. These
Have
Yeah.
you them to, or what do you do if you get no response? Do you just follow up with them later? Or do you,
Nope. Not on LinkedIn. I don't.
You don't follow up?
With LinkedIn, no. If it's social media, yes. But a cold market, LinkedIn reach out. There's a cat. Now, if I have a very close connection with them from somebody else, I will do a second reach out about 5 days later. But at that point, then I'm done.
So do you have, excuse me, a specific template that you use for sending a message?
I do. I have a pretty standard script that I use where I tweak, I want to make it personal for each person. So I might change a little, because I always put in what in their profile caught my eye. So that part's personal, but the script is pretty much cut and paste, and then I go change a few words.
On a cold call or on the phone call, since you're virtually strangers, what are the things that you're discussing in that 10-minute phone call?
So for my initial call, I jump, first thing I always want to do is ask, tell me a little bit more about what you're doing right now. Because I want to get them talking first, to hear them talking about their current work situation, because usually something's going to come up that they hate, because I want to figure out maybe where they're lacking so that I can try and address that as part of the opportunity that I have. So I typically, the first 3 or 4 minutes of the call is them talking, them sharing their background, them telling me what they're doing. And I'm just listening, trying to, figuring every connection that I can make with what they're talking, so that then when it's my turn to talk, I can kind of say, hey, it sounds, I'm hearing a lot of similarities, and whatever they may be, whether it's, you're tired of being the only woman in an office, or, you love your job, but the time freedom is stressing you out, or you feel like you've hit a glass ceiling, you're never going to be able to get any higher. So whatever that connection is that I can find with them, I'll use that to then say, I'm sure you're wondering why I reached out to you. Here's this amazing, this is going to sound so crazy to you. Here I am, a fellow software tester. You won't believe what I'm doing now and how crazy awesome it is. So then I can kind of just share my passion and excitement for it that way. And then I just say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested in you are learning more about this? And then based on how that goes, then we either schedule the next call or they're just not even interested. And at that point, I ask for referrals.
Do you send them like a qualifying video? Do you send them a link or any kind of follow-up material to look at besides in between that and the 3-way?
I do. So I have a video I created that's about 8 minutes long. I think anything 10 or more is way too long. So it's an 8-minute video with slides. It's just my voiceover on slides highlighting the business and how it works. And I built it from, there's a great slide deck in the biz dev library, the business, like the standard business presentation, but it's like 8,000 slides long. But you can I just cherry picked a handful of them out there as talking points and just recorded myself on Zoom, just talking to the slide. So at least my old face is up in the, corner with the slide deck. And then that way, because I keep it short, whenever something changes, it's really easy for me to redo that kind of business intro video. And so I have that on deck to be able to hand out to people.
Would you be willing to share that, Megan?
I will. Actually, I have on my list this weekend to redo it because I don't have anything about the masks in there. So let me get a current one, just highlighting the new product, and I'd be happy to share that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, you guys?
Question. You mentioned doing a lot of LinkedIn training. Is there one video that you found was the most helpful when you were first getting started on LinkedIn on how to set up your profile and streamline?
So, is anyone from corporate there?
No.
Okay. I want to be compliant. I worry so much about it.
Definitely not. Yeah, definitely not.
So I took Bob Heilig's. I took this other woman, Stacy something's. That's like 200 hours of my life I'll never get back. And then another, it's not Ray Higdon, but it's a Ray something did one. So I paid for 3 of them over the last couple years, and I finally just created my own. So I've netted it all down to a 40-minute class.
There you go.
Yeah, let me send you. Now I have a business partner. Otherwise I'd just say, here, let me give it to you guys for free. But I do have to respect her as well. But I can get like a kick-ass coupon for you guys so that it's next to nothing, and share the link with you on that.
Perfect.
And in it's actually got like scripts. Like I've got a PDF of here's exactly the messages that I send. Here's exactly how I search and find people, and all of that in there.
It's specific to RNF or any, type of.
No, I think it's specific to women, because I really do think it's a different game for women on LinkedIn than it is for men.
Awesome.
So what is
Yeah.
your conversion rate again on LinkedIn? How many people do you need to talk to get a?
What's your conversion rate on LinkedIn?
Mine's between 85 to 90. But you can do like 8 people in 12 minutes because it's so fast.
Now,
That's what I love.
What if you don't really have a professional background? Like, so LinkedIn is not my jam because I've been out of the professional environment for so long. Have you found that people can still have success with LinkedIn without a professional background?
Yeah, if you set your profile up right. And so that's what the first part of the class is kind of showing the do's and don'ts of what should be on your LinkedIn profile. Just because you've been out of the professional world for a really long time doesn't mean that you can't create a LinkedIn profile that doesn't look like you're an awesome businesswoman entrepreneur. What you don't want to do is say, I'm a Rodan and Fields executive consultant as your profile.
Rule number 1.
That's like death.
Mm-hmm.
And my rule number 1, I must get at least 6 people a week that are trying to recruit me onto their RNF team on LinkedIn, which means they didn't even look at my profile at all.
That's good. Yeah.
So you do put some Rodan and Fields things on your profile?
If you are an RNF consultant and you look at my profile, you will be able to figure out, I have skincare, global, whatever. So you're going to be able to put 2 and 2 together and know very quickly that I'm a Rodan Fields consultant.
So I'd say find her on LinkedIn, check and see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's your last name? What's her last name?
It's S as in Sam, U, M as in Mary, RELL. So Megan Sumrell.
MEGAN or MEGH?
No H, straight up.
Last name one more time.
Sumrell.
Sumrell.
Any other questions, you guys?
Yeah, I have one. So, like, some of us that are still in a different career as well for LinkedIn, would you recommend, like, I don't know if you can do this, creating 2 separate profiles or having one more as a focus?
Yeah, so like and mine will be good for you to go look at. So I mean, like my first thing on there is the fact that I'm CEO and co-founder of my Beehive. I mean, I run a software company, so that's there. And then there's also the blurb about, being an entrepreneur with a global skincare company. But then the little description that you write about yourself, that's where you can bring all your passions together. Is kind of like, kind of some of what Jim was talking about, really honing in on sharing, like, what is your mission? What lights your fire? What are you excited about sharing with other people? Yeah, if you are still, full-time working, usually your first one is going to be whatever your current job is.
Awesome. Anything else? We're so grateful for you, Megan.
Yes, thank you.
I just want to come be there. Like, I want to go transport myself and be with you guys. I think this is awesome. All the great training you guys are getting. I'm very jealous. So thank you for letting me stalk a little bit of the Jim Larson this morning. That filled me up.
We can get you the recording of that so that you can have it in full, because it was really good.
That'd be awesome.
Beautiful here. We would love to have you here. The beach is ridiculous. It's so pretty. So
You're killing me.
I'll
I'll stalk you on Facebook like I always do and live vicariously. So
well, I'll be in touch. I appreciate you very much. And thank you. I know you're busy, so.
no, I hate that word. I do. Everybody's busy. It's all good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
You guys know the old like jar with the big rocks and then the small rocks in the sand, right?
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking about today. So, Jim was so great about